Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome to another video. We've got the Week 10 first look on FanDuel. Different from the Week 10 first look on DraftKings that I do for NFL DFS. What we do here on the FanDuel version is look at building a tournament lineup. If you watch the Top Stacks video every Thursday, that is basically the philosophies that we're working on when we build this sort of a lineup. So I'm going to look at a quarterback. We're going to try and stack him, talk about the possible bring back players, build a secondary stack into that lineup, which means two players that are correlated, playing on opposing teams, but without a quarterback, to build a more correlated look. Now, our cash game lineups are typically going to be built looking for as much volume, as much value per dollar as we can get out of one of these players, many points per dollar as we can get, looking for mispriced players as often as we can find them, to plug as many as we can possibly get into those lineups to give ourselves an opportunity to really high floor and a really high ceiling as well. When we're building tournament lineups, I am more willing to take swings at players that are going to be less played, players that have a lower floor, players that are more boom or bust, because tournaments are very much like Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last. All that money is in the top three of every tournament, especially in these large MME fields, mass multi-entry fields, where you've got to outrun 170,000 of your closest friends to get into that top five or top three. You've got to differentiate somewhere, but you don't need to just have, like, you know, everybody be 1%, but you do want to take slightly a different path towards building that entire lineup. So we use correlation to do it. Thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video. We're looking for at least 1,000 likes on this video every single week. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and if you notice, if you look right down below, there is now a join button on this channel. If you wanted to become a channel member on YouTube, you can subscribe. You get yourself a nice little VIP sub button next to your name, as well as some of the best emotes that exist on the internet. We've already got like 40 of them on twitch.tv. I'm bringing those over here to YouTube, and we will unlock more as we get more subs. Every time that we unlock another emote, I will just add it immediately because they're already made, they're already ready to go. I think we've got like 6 or 7 already on the channel, and you can use those if I go live on YouTube or in the replies, or you can also use them if you're an iPhone. If you have an iPhone, if you're an iPhone user, you can text those to your friends whenever you want. So some of those are out there, just a little perk, as well as the community Discord that we have that now has over 4,000 members in it. If you're a YouTube channel member, you'll get access to the subs only channels in there. Come join the conversation. There's a link to Discord right down below, smizzle.tv/Discord in the pinned comment. So come over to Discord and we'll see you, and more, you know, you'll get to know the community. They'll get to know you. Let's just get right to the video. So we're going to start at quarterback. Every one of these guys is pretty much stackable, right? So we've got Russ Wilson going up against the Rams, as well as he's done this year, and as poorly as he did last weekend. He still had 24 FanDuel points. Like, he's an absolute machine this year, but he's 8,900, and that's going to come into play for us in just a little bit. That's extremely expensive at quarterback. When as giving as Seattle's been to opposing quarterbacks, we can probably make that up for a lot cheaper. Kyler Murray, if you want to pay up to be contrarian, he gives you an excellent path to doing it. We're getting a ton of rushing floor and a ton of rushing upside with him, with an average of 1 touchdown on the ground every single week, multiple touchdown in 5 of his last 6 games through the air. They've started to find their stride with this offense and open things up a whole lot as Christian Kirk has been unlocked, all those air yards finally being cashed in on. Ways to stack and double stack Kyler Murray. A little bit disappointing to see him throw it to his tight ends, though. That's helping his bottom line. It's not helping out the tournament stacks because we're never playing like Max Williams with him. Josh Allen playing in an up-paced game there against Arizona this week. He's had a month-long slump, and then against Seattle had a fantastic bounce back. As we said, Seattle giving up points to wide receivers, and therefore if wide receivers are scoring a ton of points and a ton of touchdowns and a ton of yards, the quarterbacks are correlated with that, so they are as well. Arizona also giving up a lot of points to opposing quarterbacks, as you're going to see the Buffalo Bills play again in an up-paced game this week, but I think FanDuel's done a really good job with the pricing. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers have one of the highest team totals on the week. Devontae Adams also extremely expensive this week. Another pay up to be contrarian spot, as you're going to have to find a little bit of value to go along with him. I would suggest finding somebody on Jacksonville to come back with. Honestly, I think that the most wanted grouping of this stack is going to be somewhere along these lines here, with Green Bay being really terrible against opposing running backs, Jacksonville being really bad against opposing wide receivers and opposing quarterbacks. This is going to be the most played version of this stack. You can play and have access to this game by doing a lot of different things, but this is going to be where the majority of the percent is going to be on all those sorts of plays. So it's going to be very easy to differentiate from if you wanted to attack that game, is kind of what I'm getting at. Deshaun Watson, we've been using him in a lot of stacks. Herbert priced up finally over 8K. He's been quite good recently. Multiple touchdowns in the last 5 games, with 3 or more in 4 of the last 5. The problem is, it's going to go to Keenan Allen, but finding a secondary stack, or sorry, a double stack for him, a second player to stack from him, has been very much a dice roll. Or avoiding the Keenan Allen chalk has also been a bit of a dice roll if you're stacking Herbert. Finding bring back stacks has not been tough for him. But I think that we can find a lot of value here coming down in price. There's a lot of cheap quarterbacks on this list this week. As you can see, all the way under 7K, with like Tua at 6,800, Daniel Jones up against Philly at 67. Jake Luton spoke about that game before. This is a situation where Luton is 6,700 and playing against Green Bay with a total of 55 in this game. One where they should be chasing and have to throw the ball, be forced to throw it a lot. So for him to pay this off for a tournament on FanDuel, you would probably want 2.5 to 3x. You don't even need 3x his salary for this, but like if you get 3x his salary, it only means like 19-20 points, and the paths to that are not all that difficult to get to. 15 to 19 points would be more than enough from him. But I'm going to go for the upside here with Jared Goff. Again, trying to capture as much as we can. We know that the majority of the targets for the Rams go to 2 individual players. So sticking Jared Goff in here at 7,400 going up against the Seahawks, as opposed to paying up to 8,900 for Russ Wilson, seems to give us a lot of savings that we can then use. So focusing in on that game, I can do some really silly things like just play him and play him and play. Let's put him in the flex because people are going to re-at me if I don't. And go with Robert Woods. I've got a double stack with a bring back of DK Metcalf. If you don't want to spend for DK Metcalf because you think that he's going to be on the outside and locked up with Jalen Ramsey, and the Rams are very tough against perimeter wide receivers, we've seen it all year long, and you say, I want to go back to Tyler Lockett, as people are going to be disappointed with him coming off of a bad game, you do get a $900 discount on FanDuel to do that. He does spend more time in the slot. I totally get it. I'm probably going to have a lot of variations of this Jared Goff single double stack with a bring back, including probably DK Metcalf, probably Tyler Lockett, way less of Olsen and way less of David Moore. If that's the route you want to go, fine. For the sake of this lineup, I'm going with Goff, Kupp, Woods, DK Metcalf, because let's just keep it as simple as possible. And we can make it fit because it's FanDuel. So looking at some running backs, we're going to need to find some value. I don't need one from this game. Christian McCaffrey really priced up. And might miss this game. We're in a wait and see for this. If he's out, then clearly Mike Davis is going to be one of the best value plays in the slate. He is not priced down as much on FanDuel comparatively. Like he's at 5,400, which is a lot of his value is tied up in his full PPR. He did get a lot of the inside the 5 carries, but like 5,400 on FanDuel for a running back who's most of his value as a passing guy it's valuable. But it's less valuable than 4K on DK. So if McCaffrey's out, then Mike Davis is going to be somebody that we're going to want to focus in on. We would need like 12 fantasy points from him if we're going to play him at that price. And I totally get it. Like he got there a few times. He didn't get there a bunch of other times. So like the last 4 games that he played, the last 3 games that he played without Christian McCaffrey, he did not exceed that range. And he really disappointed us at higher prices. But we do have these games against Arizona, Atlanta, but those are much more friendly games, and the Chargers much more friendly defense than Tampa Bay is. So he would have to catch a lot of passes. Tampa Bay very stingy on the ground. Leonard Fournette has massively outsnapped Ronald Jones. No matter what you think of Leonard Fournette, he's at least the guy that's on the field, and now he's got a great matchup at 6,400 going up against Carolina, who's been quite giving to opposing running backs this year. But I'm going to go a different route. Looking all the way down here, I think that there's a couple of emerging players that we should be considering. And I think that this football team Lions game, I hate saying football team. I was just WFT sounds better to me, or just Washington sounds better to me. Antonio Gibson is somebody that I think that we have to pay attention to, but only in game scripts where you think that Washington's going to be playing from ahead. In the games where Washington is playing from ahead, Antonio Gibson does right now seem to get the Lions' share of the work. What we do have going for us here is that the Lions have given up a ton of yards on the ground, and Antonio Gibson not being used as much as we would like. He does have a role in the passing game, but not being used as much as we would like, because a lot of the time they're playing from behind, and when they play from behind, McKissick comes in and gets a boatload of targets. If you're going to say that you think Detroit can't hold in this situation, they are favored in this game. What are they favored by? They're favored by 5.5 at last check. Obviously, that line's going to move up and down a little bit by the time the weekend gets here. But if you project in certain situations that Washington is going to be playing from ahead, you're going to want to have access to Antonio Gibson in this game. The way that I would rather go about getting exposure to the running backs in this game who are too cheap is Deandre Swift, who is finally getting to a point where he is playing enough snaps. He is the highest snapping running back right now on the Detroit Lions. He is the best efficiency graded running back on the Detroit Lions. He has the best elusiveness on the Detroit Lions, and he has a really dumb coach that refuses to acknowledge any of that and says, I need to play a 78-year-old Adrian Peterson, and let's get Kerryon Johnson in there for some leverage snaps as well, instead of just playing Deandre Swift, who's really, really good. So because of that, we're still getting Deandre Swift at a really cheap price. So like 2xing this salary is nowhere near out of the realm of possibility. He got 11.2 last week on only 16 touches, did not score a touchdown. With the volume that he has, he can get us to the value threshold we're looking for on FanDuel and have touchdown upside for us as well, and big play upside. So Deandre Swift is where I'm going to plug this. We got to look for a secondary stack with Deandre Swift. Who could it be? Who could me be looking at? I'm sure chat's already going to say what it is. How can you not? How can you not play Terry McLaurin? I've been riding this train all summer long, and I ain't stopping now. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is. Like, you could have The Rock cut a promo for this from like 20 years ago. It's like, who's Terry McLaurin's quarterback going to be this week? Well, it doesn't matter who his quarterback's going to be this week. The kid just smashes every single time he steps on the football field. So 8 targets, 7 catches, 115 and a touchdown. We have touchdown upside here. We have big splash upside here. We have 10 plus target upside here. If this game goes kind of the way that I think that it could, and score over 50 points. I know that the total somewhere around 45. I know that these aren't really fast-paced teams, but these are the two high-volume guys on these two offenses. In terms of FanDuel, I love Terry McLaurin this week. I think that he's underpriced at $7K. I think we do have touchdown upside that goes along with him. And it allows us to take a couple of other players that we're going to be looking at here. So first of all, I think that there's one mispriced tight end on FanDuel, very drastically mispriced tight end. It's because of an injury. So like, you look at where everybody is, right? So like, you got TJ Hawkinson and his meh volume, the best way to put it, like really great red zone and end zone looks in terms of TJ Hawkinson. Like, he's one of the league leaders in red zone targets. He's one of the league leaders at tight end in terms of end zone targets. Love the volume that he's gotten recently with 18 targets in the last 2 games, but like 6, 5, 4. So like, they forget that he's like a weapon that's on their team. And maybe with Galladay out, if he's still out this weekend, this volume will sustain. And he'll be able to warrant the ridiculously high price tag that he has, because 6,200 is just too expensive. Rob Gronkowski is 6,100. Jared Cook 6,000. Goddard, with really nobody there, with Ertz out against the Giants, at 5,800. Noah Fant looks very good at 5,700. Evan Ingram's seen a lot of volume recently, and has been priced up accordingly. 10, 10, 9 targets the last 3 weeks. But like, you get appendicitis and they price you down to like 5,100. This is entirely too cheap for the role that Austin Hooper has in this offense. And he's expected back this week. in a game where they're favored, should make multiple trips to the red zone, should get a bunch of end zone targets against Houston, who's just been bad completely. In totality, they've been bad defensively this year. Austin Hooper, high touchdown expectation for only 5,100. So why are we not taking this value, which is going to allow us, like, if we just plug in a defense, right? Like somebody that's like under 4K, stop scrolling screen. It's like this range in here. Fine. The Giants, right? Philly takes a lot of sacks. Great. That leaves us 7,400 for a running back. Getting back over to the running backs. Aaron Jones, 88. Love him this week. Up against Jacksonville. I want to play the highest volume players on Green Bay. And if Lazard is back, he's extremely cheap as well. If you're looking for a value wide receiver or somebody that's going to come in and catch less play than, I don't know, than Adams is going to get a little bit contrarian. James Conner, we have to monitor the quarterback situation right now, as Ben Roethlisberger, I believe, is on the COVID-19 list now. So, like, we're going to have to monitor things there. Nick Chubb might be back this week. He's at 8,200. That kind of tanks Kareem Hunt at 7,500, as he's just not going to get as much run as he did before. Josh Jacobs, he's going to get a lot of run. Andy's at home against Denver, who's a little bit stingy. Miles Sanders coming back. Chase Edmonds might be a good time to jump back on this train, as he's not going to catch as much percent as he did the week before because he let everybody down. But like, James Robinson's volume is completely undeniable. He is getting the work in the pass game. He's getting 20 touches a game, plus when you combine his rushes and his catches, he's getting all the inside the 5 work, and he's facing off against a defense that does not stop opposing running backs, and they are going to run it even if they're down. So Jared Goff with a double stack of Kupp and Woods. We're going to bring that back with DK Metcalf. DeAndre Swift to Terry McLaurin is our secondary stack. Going to go with James Robinson for value at his price. Austin Hooper at a tremendous value, and plug in whatever defense you want. If you want to spend a little bit more at running back, you can come down in price here. But disclaimer as always, don't copy paste lineups off the internet. It's just not the way to go. Learn the philosophy that I'm talking about on how to build your lineups. You don't have to use this one. I think this is going to be somewhat popular, or at least a path that's going to be somewhat popular this week. But find your games that you think are going to shoot out, as so many games are going over 50 and 60 real life points this year. Quarterbacks all have a chance at a 30-point ceiling. Find out where the ball's going to go, correlate your lineups, and look out for another video right here.
He's a legend.